Hello, everybody. Nice to see you again. Okay. Don, could you stop talking? If you can hear me, stop. Okay. Amigo Renato, I'm going to introduce Renato. Welcome to Tropilunch. So Renato is a NGO leader from Mato Grosso, Brazil. He has a PhD. A long time ago, he studied mercury poisoning in fisheries. But he's been the executive director of ICV, which is a very important, interesting NGO in Mato Grosso state. And now he's the head of the economic incentives program there. And Renato has been a friend and collaborator of TCD for many years. We've actually, two of his former staff persons got, Carol Jordão got her PhD here, and Camila Rodriguez got her master's here. And they're back in Brazil working. And Renato has often come up to kind of exchange ideas, share his ideas and experiences, and also listen to us and learn from that. And he's doing a kind of a postdoc reflection on his work that he's been carrying out over several visits. So welcome, Renato. I know you have a lot to say, so I'll just leave it.
Thank you so much. Of course, it's necessary that I ask for apologize for my English, not so good. So please take care of me. Well, the general idea here is to show the thing that we really start now. The partner with ICV is an NGO with something like a bank. And maybe the first thing that stay in our mind, thinking about how to NGO to partner with a bank in the Amazon area. So I think that the first question that I want to stay in your mind to listen to me to talking about this partner, okay? Really important. Well, Renato Farias have been living in that region more than 40 years. This is really important to understand the kind of my work, because it's not so easy to talk for Amazon area and don't live in there. It's not so easy to talk with Amazon, talking about Amazon living there as well. But maybe to help a little bit more to create some initiatives. Well, to talking about this partner, I think that's necessary to talk about specifics of institutional one. Who is each one? ICV is an NGO and more than 30 years to work in that region, in the Amazon area. They have a great mission to build shared solution for the sustainability in land use in natural resources. This mission is really important for some reason. One of that is build sharing solution. Because when we're talking about this sharing solution, we're talking about different way to lead the people that live in the Amazon area. It's really interesting to know, we understand that Amazon is a region, have a lot of people with different ways of lives and different way to see how to live in that part. It's really important. We focus in the Amazon state, and show why it's so important to work to talking about Amazon, talking about Mato Grosso. We have two offices, one in the capital, one in another in Alta Floresta, the region that I live, and we have 43 people team in our team. It's a great team. Yeah? A lot of people is really important. So this image is really important because we create when we have 30 years in the moment, the Bolsonaro moment. So how to show for the all power and not so offensive or not create a problem for us to work in that region, because it will be dangerous to work in NGOs in this moment in Brazil. Well, I think let's search. Oh, stop. Okay. Well, I think let's search.
Sorry.
Yeah. This is important to know. Mato Grosso is like a Brazilian barn. The state of deforestation, a state with impressive social biodiversity. And all the time you listen in Mato Grosso, how important Mato Grosso is for agribusiness. all the time it's like that. Meet 14% of Brazilian had from Mato Grosso. One part of Brazilian area with planted cereals in Mato Grosso. 70% of Brazilian business exportations in Mato Grosso is a part of the history because Mato Grosso is more than there. Okay, like Mato Grosso is as well laboratory of solution for our perspective for global climate crisis, because the souls different like different groups that living there. So necessary empowering people voice, necessary making key information available and important to structuring agricultural solutions. In this scenario that ICV works, ICV has 4 kinds of initiatives. One of that, social environment right program that we have been working with indigenous people from there. With the social business program, it's really important as well. You have an environmental transparency program is really important in this moment, of course, because we are a long time that not so difficult to work in the Amazon area like that. And again, I think it's important to say because sometimes 20 years ago we came talking if you are working in NGO back again 30 years, maybe 20 years after. And of course, it's really important when to work with the state like Mato Grosso to looking for incentives. And not so only economic incentives, but important to talking about incentives from the state. Okay. We was changed this one, but it's really important to talking about the current treats for tropical forests in Brazil. It's not different from, of course, of the Mato Grosso. Like things like good mining is really tragic. Forest code dismantlation, participation, transparency restrictions, Amazon fund that stopped it. It's amazing what's happening. I don't think it happened. In this scenario, happens it impacts directly our work in the NGOs in our region, of course. Okay, so why now is interesting because we start talking about bank. It's a cooperative credit, but it's a bank. And it's not so easy when you work a lot of time with NGOs talking about the things in our region. It's so thinking all the time the impact of the bank falls in the ground because a lot of money, of course, being paid. Well, but when I start to work in scientific economics, maybe less than 6 months, because before that I records executive or TCD. But when I found the Sicredi, I said, "Wow, I think here is a possibility. It's a good possibility to think how to change some things that NGOs is so difficult. One of that is scaling. We have a lot of money sometimes, not a lot of money, but have money to try to put the things in the ground, to help agriculture, to help activities, to make great plans. But sometimes in my mind, it's so difficult when we start a new project and you're looking for the internet, the same project, the same for 30 years ago, the same activities, the same proposals, the same ideas. It's so difficult. And when you're talking about when looking for the like Sicredi or Banco do Brasil, a lot of money. Then these guys changed the ground. These guys changed the ground because they put money in this house. So it's a lot for the thousand, sometimes million of people there. So I approximate of that. This presentation, most part is from there. Okay, the slides from the take for the friend that work there, the directors of them. But it's interesting to know, and I'd like to use show for that. The Sicredi is the oldest credit union present in Brazil. Started, I think, this is 1902. More than 115 years present in Brazil. It's a risk to start there. This slide is interesting, it's important that to show the difference of that. comparison. The type of company: cooperative formed by people, traditional financial institutions, corporation formed by capital. Control: the members is the owner. Control: the shareholders are the owners. Objective: also financial solutions that add income of the member and their community. Profit for the shareholders. Results are distributed proportionally according to use of products in the service. The result profile. Okay, it's beautiful to see. Of course, not so easy like that, because in the end of the day, the same way, some ways to incorporate capital is important for credit union as well. But there are some how to say, some signs. It could be opportunity to looking for the possibility to change them. One of that. One of that is everything that's happening in credit union is the bottom up. It's really interesting. It's really important that each agent has a group of people that decide what's happening with this money that we receive there. Of course, we have a power inside, of course, because it's necessary some kind of control. But at the same time, our possibility to create initiatives together. Continue to work looking for. They have another life on the world. The United States, for example, have billions of money inside of credit union as well. But look in Brazil, 370 billion of reais put in the ground. Almost 11 million of people in the numbers of credit unions present there. Looking from specific from Brazil, now it's there in Roraima as well. Only Brazil, almost 2,100 billions of reais total assets. Well, a lot of numbers. Okay, and it's interesting because we talking about more than 6 million of members, owners of this process. It's a huge number. It's really interesting where this group is staying all over Brazil. Okay. One of the things that I think is really interesting for like Sicredi and other ones in Brazil, for example, Instituto Sicredi, the only financial institution with physical presence in 200 Brazilian cities. Different from Banco do Brasil or different for another ones. The year entrance in the municipalities that has a short number of less number of the person, not necessarily have a 10,000. It have 2.5 thousand of people. They start something. This is really interesting and important. Why? Because they are corporate bank interest in the small city or to financial some activities can change the scenario of that region. So really interesting to understand what kind of doing transfer thing this municipality, what kind of credit their possibilities for this region. And this slide is really important for our discussion as well. Really important. Why? Sicredi just has the second largest rural credit financing in Brazil. Second. Almost the biggest one. And when you're talking about the possibility to entrench in everything, every space in that Amazon, could you imagine how influence could be this kind of thing in the ground? Do you understand how important to know for us, like an NGO, that we can last night I talked with Wendy about that. We can looking for the different prospects. We can consider an enemy, let's fight against them, or can you think about the possibility to change a little bit about the scenario of the billion of the ice put in the ground for the good press activities. And well, of course, I want to pass this next slide to show for you that like banks is so not so easy, but it's so beautiful to images like when you're talking about banks, because it has a great picture or something like that. It's always amazing. But the year have some commitments like global compact. I think this is amazing as well, because the investment of education from Sicredi is, I think, the first institution in Brazil of put millions of education, more than Criança Esperança. I don't know if you heard about. It's a program for the global. Only the south of Brazil, I think Sicredi put almost 30 million reais, Criança Esperança 20 in the whole Brazil. Well, this kind of things is interesting as well. The impact of this money, they measure something like that, from 51 reais for, well, financial education is important. This is another part is important for our work. Our agriculture really needs to financial education for activities from there. And the part of our partner with the Sicredi is talking about the financial education. Again, numbers, okay? I think like the diversity is really interesting for this, really interesting, because one thing that's interesting in our perspective to together, when the first moment, I think that Sicredi, they were talking about, or to working about like, how do you say, vocation? A vocation of the regions. And I noticed, I learned it, the vocation is not the Sicredi, but the director that leading with this scenario. And this moment, Sicredi has a director that looks something like investment a lot about this kind of things, or to, because, why? I said, because it's a really good person, so, yeah, it's okay, but looking for the future as well. It's a perspective for the future. Well, like I said, for you, we only to start this process. It's the first steps. What is a way why they stay here, because they testing this speech about that. But the first step showing something interesting. For example, Sicredi divided in regions, and in Alta Floresta, that cooperative that stayed there responsible for more than 40 agencies, more than almost 1,900 employees, more than 145,000 of associated, and look at 3.1 billion of reais to put in the ground. In two states that for us is really crucial, Mato Grosso and Pará. Could you imagine or think how important to know what happened with this money in the ground? Because they find it, they arrived there. Well, so we start to looking for the activity that ICV had before, working before. The first one is a Novo Campo program. Novo Campo program is a program that ICV started in 2015, I think. It's really different. It's really difficult. I don't know if you remember that ICV we start to work with cattle ranger. Why? Because in our group have the people that work with indigenous people and family agricultures. And the cattle ranger is devil. They want to kill us, something like that. It's really difficult to start to work, but in that moment, it's really important because it's necessary to show another way to do a leading with the field of the ground, like a good practice. In that moment, it's possible because we work with money from Blue Foundation. We have a spin-off in ICV to start a huge program, the cattle range in that region. It changed a little bit about scenarios. And now with Sicredi, we want to scale up. I show for you this slide, sorry, because part is in Portuguese, but I want to show for you the first steps that they're thinking about the relation with ICV to looking for a kind of project. This project is still discussing with Beach. It's a project to 12 million of euros to establish a 440 properties there, more than 40,000 hectares of the good practice in the ground. Is this interesting, people? Because when we go into talk with Sicredi about the cattle ranger, the first impression, no, it's for us it's easy because we working with cattle ranger several years and everything okay. Let's talking about. When we start, we called before this project is continuing. We looking for 15 properties to start the activities good practice and necessary some criteria to put these properties inside the program. It's amazing because when you're talking with the director, we try for maybe I think 30 days to find these properties. That the people from Sicredi said, no, everything okay. Not everything okay. In the ground, the scenarios is so a little bit different. Sometimes the property taking money, it's normal thing. I think that everybody knows here. Take money to do something and do another thing. The social activities in property is not so good like thing. The environmental activities necessary to improve a little bit, something like that. You can discuss with Sicredi. And back to Sicredi said, "Wow, and necessary change some things. They change some things inside the prepare the guy that talking with the property. Necessary to prepare the different projects, something like that. It's more important than this scenario. Why? Because we can change some key activities, maybe change the result on the final round like that. Well, maybe this one is start the next year. Of course, it's another. It's a huge, but it's difficult a lot to make some kind of thing. But okay, we work inside. Another one in Portuguese again. It's older. It's not easy. It's not a new one. It's prepared some 2 or 3 years ago, but show a little bit about our work with climate agriculture now. And I think it's really one thing that's really important. UF is very important for ICT to create the perception about the ecosystem of systems. When Camila is our leader, now it's my boss. You know that this is my boss. When she came here, she looking for the to inside the property. How important to fight with the agriculture, to produce, to looking against capital, something like that. And to deep in the study, you notice that they have an ecosystem of agriculture family. Really important to improve the production, really important to capacity building inside, but it's really, really important to know what's happening outside of the properties. And outside of the properties, happen a lot of things to market, a lot, but have a lot of things at the credit as well. And this scenario, we have like a visible ones as invisible ones. The visible ones are that people, the properties that have possibilities to present some, like, I can take money from you, you pay because I have another property. But the invisible one now have only the small space, and when you go to the bank to get money, necessary to prove that you possible to pay, and necessary to show for something for that. So looking for this scenario, ICV works a lot for to prepare other ways to living off that. Camila, of course, is head of that with a great group. I think something important to say. The ICV have 43 people working there. Almost everyone is from that region. This is really, really important because have a point now as a commitment with their land. This is kind of things important. Well, in the first steps of the partner of Sicredi, this slide is prepared for the one guy called Luan. It's a guy that lives in there with this team, And I think I maintain this way because I think it's important. Well, we start with a partnership with Sicredi, training technicals. They are well, another thing that's really important is that for Bob. The first time that members of Sicredi visit the properties, it's amazing because they are how do you say, they work everybody to get money. And they think that money is really good to help the people from that. But no, they don't have time to really to know what happened with the ground in the ground after that. So this kind of thing is key. It is key for us. The change in mapping demands for the agriculture. And the end of the scenario, we can Sicredi give money for solar energy, considering the capacity building of the capacity of paying the scenario, create something like that. Stufas, this is really important, but really difficult to get money to in the financial normal bank to make these kinds of things. And this scenario, or to buy a car, because the years are small, but he deserve a car, like the big one, of course. But well, it's the start of the scenario, but it helped us to show for the directors of Sicredi that have a lot of invisible people that want that possible to pay that money that you get, but it's so difficult for they are going to the bank that not going there because they're not receive it or to consider this scenario. So this are really the end of work that we have. This is really important. They call this EVE, Estudo de Viabilidade Econômica.
Economic viability study.
Exactly. Why is this important? When you go into the bank, you should, only the official thing that's possible to prove that you have money is capital. You don't have to lettuce, to tomatoes, to another. You don't have an official basis to analyze it. So now, in this partner, we create a platform that shows the official ones necessary that people that produce tomato, coffee, almost, but cacao. Well, the different harvests that have that region there. Okay, so well, of course, it's first steps that we had. The idea now is scaling initiatives for another state of Amazon. When I'm talking about another state, the first one is Pará, because they have a important vision to consider there. Mainly in this moment, that's really crucial for us, and there's the deforestation there is terrible. And then another one is to study a new way to implement practice due tax deduction with credit investment as that reason. Okay. So my idea is to show for you a little bit about the work we start now. Of course, it's not a concept approved yet, but the idea here to use a lot of things that I learned with Bob and Wayne to work with the complexity systems of Amazon, because before we start, we left, I think, for one way. When we make that person many years ago, I think, don't have the scholar for that. But in that moment, you show that how complex it is, how complex are the actors in the Amazon area, how important to consider the point of view that there is. Because the capital range is not your enemy, just has a different perspective to Max. The indigenous people is not a lazy guys. These are people that put cultures different for than other prospects, something like that. So when we talk about the partnership like the Sicredi, to contribute for their understand how important to consider where their money go in bank. Okay. So thank you so much for this moment.